We are recording now. Let's do this. No introduction today, everyone. This is Julian, and I'm so excited to be here with him. Man, we were just chatting a little bit. He's in Las Vegas right now, so tell me about your travel day and everything. How did that go for you? How was that?
Well, firstly, thank you, Brynn. Thank you for having me. It's a true pleasure to meet you. As I said, we've been texting now for a couple weeks. So I'm happy that we finally got this going. My travel day was good. You know, it's funny because that's when I had booked the initial podcast for us to do it. So I'm happy that I realized that it wasn't on the right date. But it was it was a long flight. I've never done it. Like, so the reason I'm in Vegas is because my girlfriend lives here, and I met her when I was living in Canada. So it was only like a 4 hour, 5 hour flight usually, and I was really okay with that. But the minute I moved back to Spain, because that's where my parents are, and I recently moved back there now a year ago, said I've never done the like she's done it a couple times, like Vegas to Spain, and it always tells me how brutal it is. And but man, this time me going there, I think it was I usually say I don't really suffer from jet lag because I think I'm usually good at planning myself at sleeping on the plane
Hmm.
or something. And this time, I just couldn't. It's been 4 days now. I've been here for 5 days, and it's been finally. I think I'm finally okay now. But have you ever done a trip this long?
Yeah. I went
15
to
hours?
I went to Europe. I think I went to the UK, and it was a long haul. So I flew into Denver. That's about a 2.5 hour flight from North Dakota, where I was from. And then I stayed there for the night, and it was like I think the flight was nearly 13 hours into Heathrow. And Heathrow Airport sucks. Anyone who's traveling to the UK, I hate the Heathrow Airport. Like, it's a beautiful airport, don't get me wrong, but you gotta walk 3 miles just to get anywhere.
I know. I've also. It's one of those big airports for connections, right? For layovers, right?
Right. Yeah.
Yeah,
It
yeah. You're so right. You're so right.
it's rough. But okay, so you're from Madrid. You've also been in Canada. You're currently in Las Vegas. Tell me a little bit about the whole round the world trip we got going on.
Well, I come from a Lebanese family, so both my parents are fully born in Lebanon, in this little country in the Middle East. Beautiful country, may I add. It's like one of the. My dad will always say this to anybody who doesn't know where Lebanon is, because many people that haven't been, they just haven't had a chance. It is portrayed as a somewhat dangerous country, and it is, But I guess we're quote unquote locals, so we do go a lot. But what my dad always says, it's one of the only countries it's so small. It's one of the only countries in the world, if not the only one, that you can in the morning go ski. And I think in 56 minutes, because I saw there's a video of somebody actually doing it, 56 minutes on an average day, you will make it to the sea and swim. So the same day you can ski and swim. And it's one of those such small countries. There's so much to do. It's so beautiful. I don't know if you've seen any videos of Lebanon or Beirut specifically. Have you?
No, not recently. I don't have
Hmm.
any very short form, or I don't watch very much YouTube,
Okay.
honestly.
Okay.
So
Fair enough. But there's many, like sometimes you'll see them circulating. Like I've seen a couple sometimes on Instagram that'll be like, oh, one of the best spots to go here. Maybe it's because I was there, so they like the algorithm tailors it to me. I don't
right.
know. But so they're both Lebanese, and we've never lived in Lebanon, but my parents have always taken us there. Every summer we try to go. Every summer, every Christmas, usually where we spend the holidays. And but when I was 4 years, but I was born in Canada, in Montreal.
Okay. Okay.
Have you ever been to Montreal or Canada, Bryn?
I have not been to Montreal, but I've been to Winnipeg. So
Ooh, okay. What for?
ice fishing. Ironically, we went on an ice fishing
Wow.
trip. Yeah, I'm about as northern as it gets. So
That is the last answer I thought you would say. Like
yeah,
that's
there's not a lot in Winnipeg. It's kind of a party town, but it's a
yeah.
fun little town. And yeah, I went to Lake Winnipeg. That's it.
What did you think? What did you think?
It was interesting. I was young. It was really cool to catch really big fish. I don't know. That's
It's funny. Well, I guess so. You've never been to that side or
no.
close in because Winnipeg is somewhat far from Montreal.
Hmm.
So, but yeah, and then I was born in Montreal, 4 years there, and I think it's a lot of Lebanese migrated to after the war. They moved to Montreal just because the language. In Montreal, you speak it's like the French part of Canada. It's in
Hmm.
Quebec, so you speak French and English. So in Lebanon, there's also a joke that's like you don't really speak Lebanese. Like Lebanese dialect is a mix of Arabic, a mix of English, and a mix of French. So if you ever are in a Lebanese dinner or a Lebanese family gathering or anything Lebanese, you as let's say a foreigner or a tourist in that home, you will be so confused because they'll go in one sentence. They'll go from English to Arabic to French. Some may even speak some Spanish in there, and it might confuse you so much. Yeah.
Man,
So
okay.
be warned. Be warned.
I am very warned. I'm a very terrible English speaker alone. So when you add
Yeah.
other languages, I'm like, oh man, here we go. They're so pretty, but I can't understand your gibberish right now.
That's so funny.
But how long are you gonna be in Las Vegas for?
I'm here now for a month actually, because we can do all this online work. It's nice to be able to do as long as you have some Wi-Fi, and and they granted me a space in the house that I'm able to use. So I'm very happy with it.
Definitely. So you say online work. What are you doing right now for online work? You've kind of, man, you're like jumped around modeling, this, that, DJing, all that fun stuff. Tell me a little bit about it.
Thank you, Brynn. Thank you for asking. I'll tell you a little bit what I did before. How it's
Okay.
because it's funny because how I got on X is kind of related to everything I did outside of X. I think at least because it was funny because I graduated from my university only a year ago. I don't know. I mean May 2023. Yeah, so a year ago I guess. And I was living in Canada, so I went back to so I grew up. So to finish, you asked me about like all the traveling. I ended up leaving Canada when I was 4, moved to Madrid to Spain from 4 all the way to 18. So I was there for those 13, 14 years. And then at 18, I think like many kids who are 18 or teenagers, we decide, we want to leave our parents' nest, right? We want to go and explore the world. And I don't know if you just told me a little bit, right? That was that similar to you, for you?
Yeah, I dipped the moment I turned 18. So, not even a month after I turned, not even a week after I turned 18, I went to the UK for a month, and then I moved to Houston.
Wow.
So, yeah,
Wow. What did you do in the UK for a month? Did you study?
traveled. No, I just traveled.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Oh, nice.
yeah, I
Okay.
lived. I was in a small little town called Brandon in the UK for 2 ish weeks, and then we went to the Grand Canaries, and we spent 2 weeks there.
Oh, that's Spain, eh?
Yeah, it was the best
Yeah.
experience. It was so cool because we went from like the beach to like sand dunes to volcanic mountains. I was like, this is interesting on this little island in the middle of the ocean above Africa.
Yeah, it is crazy because it does like you don't think it's Spain. Many people don't, but yeah,
Yeah.
that's cool. So see, so I relate to that. That I also as soon as I turned 18, I knew I was gonna leave, and it's funny because my whole family went to Montreal. Like my parents, my parents, my mom and my dad, my uncle. A lot of them went to that same university in Montreal that I went to, and I don't know if I was like primed since I was younger. Like you're gonna go here. I don't need like nobody was like forcing me to go there. But when you compare like the prices in the U.S. for even England, I was thinking of going to England. I know you went there for a month, but I was actually thinking of. I applied. So I applied to five universities in England, and then 2 or 3 in Canada, and that was it. But I think I always knew that I would go to the Montreal one, just because even my cousin who who I'm really close with in my family, he went to that same university. Whenever I would go back to Canada to visit the family, I basically knew the campus so well. I understood the life. It kind of felt like a second home. So it was a no brainer for me to go back there,
Hmm.
and so that's where I started modeling was in Canada because I was working at a gym. Actually, it's a funny story. If I may share a little bit of it, it was my first day. I was getting some part time job at a gym. I had time with school and I wanted to make some extra pocket money. So I go as one does. So I go and I had 2 options actually, and it was either I had called to work at Uniqlo. Uniqlo, the
Yeah.
clothing brand, the Japanese
Hmm.
clothing brand, to work as a sales rep. And then the other one was a salad bar. So it was 3 options: salad bar, also as a sales rep, or like the hostess or whatever. And then the last one was a gym. The good thing about the gym was that I would be able to get the gym for free. And I was
Right.
like, or for free, like I could use it, and I would save some time. My shift would be over, and I would work out before my shift or whatever. I thought it'd be great,
Hmm.
but they kind of did not give me a choice. I don't know if this ever happened to you, but it was in a job interview, and in the job interview itself, they just accepted me. They just said, okay, you're like,
Yeah.
okay, you're starting tomorrow. Does that happen to you? Like,
Oh, yeah. Every job I've ever had basically has been like, okay. I'm like, wait, what?
it's weird, right? Because I don't know. For me, it was like I remember hanging up the call, and this is where I kind of a lot of what I'll get to now for what I do in X and stuff. But a lot of it comes from like this part of my life where I had this inability to speak up,
Hmm.
and I hated it. It was so debilitating. Where in this specific case, I'll give you that example where I was in the Zoom call, very same thing on Zoom, and she's interviewing me. It was like right around COVID. Maybe that's why we were on Zoom. And I don't know if it would have been any different in person, but she was just like asking me questions, taking the notes, and then at the very end, she's like, "Okay, that was great. We'll see you tomorrow at 9." And then there was a minute of silence. Silence where I could have said like, "Wait, I'm not convinced. Like, I'm still waiting to hear back from Uniqlo or the salad
Hmm.
bar. Like, I don't know." And I didn't. I don't. I just froze and felt shy, or I don't know what it was, and it really, really bothered me. And I remember the call ends, and I'm like, I guess I have to go tomorrow now. And just to show you how the world works, I do end up going tomorrow. And I think it was like maybe like that same week. I don't know if it was my first day exactly, but that same week, I'm working, and my supervisor is showing me. He's like, "Julian, look at me. Look how it's done. I'm going to show you how to sell to the next person." Like he wants me to understand how to use the system and whatever. This client walks in, tall, very like, good looking, good clothes. You can tell you had the nice Nike brands. But it was nice. He walks in, and my supervisor's like, "Look at me, like look how I sell." I said, "Okay." So he starts selling to the guy a membership for the gym, and the guy, I can tell the guy's like looking a little bit at me more than at my supervisor. But it's funny because I'm behind the supervisor, like I'm not really selling to him, so I don't understand why. But you can feel when someone has eyes on you a little
Hmm.
bit. And anyway, just fast forward to maybe a couple minutes, my supervisor asks him a question. The guy doesn't answer and goes straight to me. He's like, "Yeah, man, have you ever considered modeling?" And the funny part with the story is that he's like, "You're so tall, you should consider this. Like I'm sure you have the height requirements for the modeling world, whatever." And he's like, and in front of my supervisor, Brynn, he's like, "You would make way more than what you make here." And I was like, "Oh." I couldn't believe he said that in front of my supervisor. And long story short, I remembered his name, found him on LinkedIn. I think that was like the first cold DM I ever sent anyone, if you can call it anything. And kind of like, hey, I knew I had like this little character to be like, "Hey, I want to get on a call with you. I need to know more how to get into this modeling industry kind of world." And
Yeah.
he sent me his number, and we're still good friends till now. And it's funny, he kind of got me kickstarted into that. And I know that there's still so much to add to the story, but I'd love for you to give me some comments on that. What are your thoughts on
That's
all that?
no, that's so cool. I think we talked about it a little bit in the DMs where we talked about the disparities in like like social conflict is so big nowadays because no one knows how to socialize. And so
Yeah.
we chatted a little bit about it. And so I think it's really cool that people get to see you live telling this story versus reading a thread.
Yeah, right. Yeah.
So you got into modeling. You still do some of that modeling. I saw the late night photo shoot the other day.
Thank you.
What has modeling alone taught you?
Honestly, that got me over that fear of judgment, I'll tell you, because I think you cannot be I've done a couple shoots, and I've done some cool like video shoots as well. Like one of my first shoots ever, Brynn, was like for like those caps. I don't know if you know the new era caps, the ones that are, I don't know, it's like one of those, like all the ones that are like NY, LA, all those caps that are of
Okay.
all the cities
Yeah.
that you
I
see, the
have a
baseball ones.
bunch back here.
Yeah, I wish I had mine here, but it was cool because when I remember that. So let's say I meet this guy like September, I do all the process of taking pictures, understanding, applying to a bunch of agencies, then going back to Spain, whatever. I think fast forward to 6 months later, April of 2020 or 2021, I do my first shoot, and it's that video. And I think that's where I kind of realized of like I have to kind of not like I cannot be fearful, man. I cannot like I couldn't, and I kind of really you see everybody else who's in there. They don't give a shit. Nobody cares at all. They're all
Hmm.
doing their own thing. The sound guy, the video guy, the costume guy, and you kind of realize they're all here, and we're all here together for the same purpose.
Hmm.
I think the thing that taught me the most was that without one, you can't have everybody else. Like you need this kind of teamwork spirit of like without the camera guy, you're fucked. Excuse me.
Hmm.
Can I?
Yeah.
Is this a
No,
PG
no,
podcast?
it's okay.
So, okay. Or without the makeup artist. Like there was one day where the makeup artist didn't show up. Like now what? The whole shoot was canceled. Just to show you how like everybody has the same level of importance. I think that was one
Mhm.
thing that they always make like the actor, the model, they always make those seem like the main focus, the main point. And I don't think it's this kind of the behind the scenes kind of shows you that you need
Yeah.
really everybody to be there. But the second, I think the most important thing that it taught me was that I think that socializing aspect of I got to meet such great people, and I got to speak to such incredible people that one I wouldn't have otherwise,
Hmm.
and two to connect with them in a way that's like, I mean, someone's doing my makeup, like I'm talking to her there for the next 2 hours. I'm sitting there while she does my hair, while she does my face, or someone who's choosing my clothes. Like we're like I don't know, like I really got out of my shell during all of those shoots because it's so intimidating at first, but you come out of it with new friends because you're there for like 10 hours, 12
Right.
hours, so it's pretty cool.
Yeah, that is really cool. And so transitioning that your threads on that on X are amazing. And so I was
Thank you.
listening to one of your podcasts and you talk about how writing is for everyone. And so tell me how writing is specifically working for you and where you plan on taking it.
That's a great question, Brynn. Um, it's so so I would say that yeah, it's a tough question. I do think it's for everyone. I think specifically when I said that on the podcast, I was alluding to or referring to a good friend of mine who he was telling me a lot about this mental clutter he
Hmm.
had, and I think that's a little bit for me where there's a lot of time in my life where I'm sure a lot of people can relate. I couldn't sleep, couldn't fall asleep. I had so many things in my mind, so many things I wanted to do. I'm sure
Hmm.
you can relate to, and like yet not enough time. And I think putting them on paper, specifically just the act of writing them down on paper was crucial for me. But then to like, how does that play with X? I kind of see it with like this public diary, this public journal that we kind of talk about. I think at the beginning, I didn't really realize that that's what it was, but I could just be dumping my thoughts out there, and then yeah, like I'm not the only one who's going through it. Somebody else will also relate to it. But I think that's the thing when I say writing is for everyone is that look at my buddy. He was having trouble sleeping. Now, not only does he sleep much better and he's able to organize his thoughts both in here and on paper, but he had an article released like on Medium just like that. And like, how cool is that? You have documented information. So I think it's those two things of it
Definitely.
creates a metaphorical distance between what's in here and what's on paper, and you have documented stuff, you know?
Yeah, totally. And you've also monetized on X, right? You do one-on-one coaching for social
I have,
anxiety and
yeah.
things like that. Yeah. How is that going?
It's going good, Brynn. Thank you for asking that. It has been good. It's been super cool to connect again with. It's the same thing I'm telling you with like the people who from the modeling industry where you connect with them on a much deeper level. And here it's the same thing. I do try to see it as it's a friend, and it's somebody who I am trying to help. That I do believe in helping, and I would want to help otherwise. But I do think it's that connection that we're creating is beautiful. Like I don't know if you could relate here when you're doing your podcast online. Do you feel like you must be feeling like you're connecting with them on a deep level, right?
Yeah, for some there's definitely that first like 5 minutes of the call really makes or breaks it. Like I've had one person
Oh
who
yeah.
is like, oh, I don't want to do this anymore, and I was like, oh, like I understand. Like yeah, he just completely backed out,
Why?
and I was like, okay. He's like, I just don't think we have anything to talk about, and I was like, okay, all right, have a great day. And So like the people that do come on and like really sit down and get into things with me, it's a lot of fun, and I've learned so much. I think that's my favorite part, talking to people, is you learn the craziest of things, because I don't know if you've heard of like this fallacy of when people meet you, they meet you who you are now and who you are after, but you only have experienced the last however many years of your life. So they're meeting this person who to you it has lived through hard times, terrible times, but then you smile and it's like, oh, so you're so happy. And it's like, no, like I've had 18, 19, 20 years of life, but they don't know that and they don't see that, even though you're meeting someone older. And so it's like this childlike ignition of like, oh my gosh, a new person and this whole new world. And it's really exciting. And finding those people has probably been the best part, and like learning that social aspect of life.
And I haven't heard of that fallacy. What's it called? You know?
Man, I don't remember the name. I'm writing an article on it, and it's kind of has to do with like synchronicity and the generative principle. Nice. And things like that. And it's just so cool. Nick Verge actually talked about it, and I'll have to send you like a book. I've been going down a wiki rabbit hole. Like it's so bad. But yeah, Nick Verge, I'm a copywriter, and he was like, the one copywriting tip I have for you is to follow the generative principle. And I was like, that has nothing to do with copywriting. And so I went down this, like I read like a 200-page book on synchronicity, which is also the generative principle. And I was like, this is so interesting. It's just, the premises is care more. Just care more. And you will go so much farther in every adventure you have in life. And so me hopping on this podcast is just me getting to care more about people.
Mm-hmm. I really love that. That reminds me, I would say care more and be curious. It's like the same, It goes hand in hand, right? Because I think that's like when people ask me in the social world, like, what do you do? Like, so one of my friends would tell me, for example, when they go out with me somewhere, we go to, we went to a soccer game in Spain. You cannot live in Spain and not go to a soccer game. So whenever you're in Spain, Brynn, you better go to that. But we went to a soccer game together to watch an actual professional one. And I remember, like, I was looking, I'm lactose intolerant, so I'm really, like, big about always my coffees. I need to have my lactose-free milk. And in the US, I've noticed it's not really a thing. Like, they either have oat or almond milk, which are both already lactose-free.
Mm-hmm.
But in Spain, we have specifically, like, cow milk that is lactose-free, lactate. And it's just, I know, yeah. You feel like I'm here in the US now, and you should have seen the woman at the breakfast this morning. I was like, I want my coffee with some lactose. She's like, lactose free. And I said, we have. Anyway, the point is, we were at that soccer game, and I wanted my coffee with my lactose free milk. So I go up to the guy. Obviously, he knew what I'm talking about, but the guy didn't really. He like worked here, but it wasn't his department. He's like, I'm just a waiter. And then I started talking to him in a way, whatever. And I just a way of like being curious. I started asking questions about himself and whatever. And then at the end, he was like, you know what? Actually, I may have some in the kitchen. Like, let me go check. And then he really went like super far to the kitchen just to get me this lactose free milk that I didn't desperately need, but would have been nice. And my buddy is like, and I guess that is the secret to social skills, isn't it? Is it just speaking to them as if you've known them for 12 years?
Yeah.
Now that like that's stuck with me, because I think it's a little bit like what you're saying. I'm like, I love the idea of the being curious and always having something to learn from them. And I can tell already from your questions, from your like the attentiveness you've given me, even if it's on the screen, I can tell you're listening, and you have that smile that you don't stop smiling. So I love it.
Good. Yeah. And so bouncing off of that, I think it was your second podcast episode, you talked about the social aspect of food. Do you think the social aspect of food is more than like the person you're sitting with, and also including like the surrounding area that's encompassing you?
What do you mean by that? Like when you say more than the social aspect of sitting just with them, what do you mean?
Yeah, so I don't know if you've read about like the history of restaurants, but the reason they were made was literally to go out and eat with strangers, basically. And so it's really cool. Like when you go out to eat and you sit with someone, you're sitting in a room full of strangers with someone you have a deep connection with, and you really just talk about the importance of vulnerability over some good food.
It's a great point. Oh, I didn't know that, by the way, about the history of. It makes sense, I do believe, and like I said in that podcast, right, that I do believe the best way to bond with anybody is in a meal, because I do think, and I think it's what I had said, that like it takes up that part of your brain, which I don't know. That's why I'm thinking. I think the reason a lot of people struggle with having conversations with other humans is simply due to the fact that they overthink too much, and I think it's because they have too much space in their mind to do it. So if you couple that with, if you maybe substitute that with something that will keep that one part of your mind occupied, such as walking. Like I'll tell you, like now I've noticed that with my girlfriend, we're walking every morning. The first thing we do is we go walk. Our conversation is, because when you spend so much time with someone, at some point you are bound to run out of conversation. Yeah. I've noticed, like this morning we walked for 2 hours and we didn't run out of shit to say. And I think it truly is because you don't have time to overthink about what topic should I be talking about? What else can we talk about? Like, or whatever. And this is what I think really hurts a lot of people when they try to socialize and stuff. This is why, in a way, alcohol kind of does that to you when you drink, and why people think that, oh, I got to get drunk to be able to talk to someone, or for my social skills to come out, is because the alcohol kind of like gets rid, in most cases, of that overthinking, or that part of your brain that's conscious. Do you see what I mean?
Yeah, no, totally. And so food. I'm a foodie. I love food. What is your favorite
What's
food?
your favorite?
Oh my God, America. I love you, the U.S., but you have terrible food. The food here is like 2 out of 10. I, oh man, I don't know. Like when I was in the UK, honestly, just some like pork or like some really genuine English dinner was probably my favorite. We went on both Sundays we were there, and I was like, this is like it's culture and like history and things like that. And so I just love food that is like. We have a Mexican restaurant down the street, and this gentleman named Cesar, he is a sweetheart, and he told me all about like the history of the restaurant and like the history of the food, and I was like, cool, I like this food now. And so I just like food with a little bit of a story behind it. But then you have like U.S. food, and it's like hot dog. There's nothing there. There's nothing there. So definitely some cultural
I'm
food.
experiencing that.
Yeah.
I'm experiencing that right now here. And it depends. I mean, it depends also where you buy your stuff, right? I mean,
Right.
we eat a lot at home, so I don't know. Like, would you say that? I think it depends on the supermarket. And you know, I must say, Brynn, a little confession here is that one of my favorite things to do in the U.S. is go to the supermarket. The grocery store is it is everything I've seen on TV growing up, and so much more. And the fact that all these things are tangible in there, and like it's like you should like I swear like my girlfriend knows that whenever like I'm in a low mood, she knows where to take me to boost my. It's incredible.
What's incredible about it to you? What's the difference?
I'll tell you the I think the main thing, like if I really want to dig deep, I think the main thing is that I've seen a lot. So in Spain, the thing that was crazy about my childhood is that a bunch of stuff that we would get like TV wise, music wise, media in general, entertainment in general, everything was delayed like 2 years. So like maybe I'm exaggerating, but like 6 7 months. So like as in a song would come out, you wouldn't hear it on the radio or anywhere in Spain advertised until 7 months later, and they call it, wow, listen to Justin Bieber's new song, and it was actually not new anymore. It was like 7 months old. Like the rest of the world, and mainly America, would have heard it already so many times they'd be sick of it. And my point is that because we came more from an international background, and we were like just more international, more diverse. We went to an American school, English school. Like a lot of the media and entertainment we had was way more up to date because we just checked the internet, and we like my family and saying me and my friends. So a lot of the TV shows we'd watch, stuff that was, of course, they're all filmed in America, or most of them are American based and stuff. So a lot of the products that you'd see on TV or from the grocery store were all like, I can remember specifically one of the TV shows I watched. I had this thing called Cheez-Its. You know what those are? I'm sure.
Yeah.
And I had never heard of those, but they made such a
Wow.
big point about it on the TV show. How this little kids love them. So when I go to the grocery store here and I see them, I'm like, oh dang, like I cannot believe these actually. Like, I don't know. I guess part of me thought they were a prop or they were not real. I don't know. If you associate stuff on TV as not real, right? So I don't
Right.
know. Like,
Oh, that's so
so I think
interesting.
that's the main reason.
Yeah. Well, I mean, I think that also like diving even deeper, that comes down to like the U.S.'s policies on like processed food. When I went to the UK, I was like, there's nothing has color here, but I mean, it tastes a lot better in my opinion. It after a bit, but yeah. So I think it comes down to that too. Is like the food is not quality here.
True.
But
It's unfortunately true. Yeah. Yeah. It really is. It really is. It still depends. Again, I think that depends where you get it from, and I do agree overall. Even so, like my girlfriend will compare it to Spain. So Europe should be like you can taste. She's like, you can taste the difference. You can see like how much also you feel
yeah.
better after. You know. So I do agree with you on that.
Yeah, that's a big one. I realized like when I was eating, before I went to the UK, I'd lost like 30, 40 pounds. And I ate the same while I was in the UK, and I just felt so much better all the time. I didn't gain any weight. Like I ate pasta, pizza, just about everything under the damn sun. And I was like, I feel so good all the time. So much like energy, and I'm not tired all the time.
It's true. You're so right. You're so right. So that's a good comparison to make then. Is eating the same stuff and seeing how you feel after. Yeah. Yeah. Good point.
Cheez-Its though. I love that. Is there any other snacks that you just thoroughly enjoy in the States?
Well, I don't like the Cheez-Its. I just want to add, like, it was like one of the things that I saw and I ended up eating them, and I was like, yeah, they're not that good. But I'll tell you the one that I'm obsessed with, that it's been now 2 years that I've been consuming this, and that I will keep consuming. It's these little drinks called Olipop's. Are you familiar with that?
Really? You like those?
Honestly, you know why? Because we don't have that stuff there, and I love the idea of I can like what I love here is because everything is by car. Which I don't know how I feel about that, but because everything is compared to Europe, everything is walking. Like
Right.
I don't have a car, so I don't need it. But here, she has a car, and we need it. Like just no way, especially where we live here in Vegas. And so going to like so we have to always go to cars. So it's always like, oh, should we just stop at Sprouts and just like or Whole Foods and like get like this like something, and we go, and like it's amazing. I always get these. They're so refreshing. They have different flavors, and I love. You don't like them? Is that why you're
No,
saying it?
I have never really tried them. We tried one, and I was definitely not a fan. Maybe that's just all of the sugary drinks we drink, but yeah, I was like, this is
Maybe.
bland.
I see that. I see that. I just think maybe you also did not take a good flavor. Like I think you should. The best one I'll
Right.
tell you if you like ginger ale, have the ginger ale one.
Okay.
If you like, I could really start. I should maybe do a YouTube video where I start rating them out and saying
I
like
would
to give
totally love
people.
it.
Yeah. But no, but that's I think that's the number one. Like if you want to consider, if not, there's another snack that I will definitely also only in the U.S. that I can find. They have other versions in Europe. They're not as good as here. It's these little spicy rice cakes. They're like little square, circular rice cakes, and they're spicy and they're delicious. And this is what I like about here is there's a bunch of snacks that are quote healthy from Whole Foods that are so good. But I don't know. Now you're making me doubt if they really are that healthy. But I like that. Like I never snack, and here
Yeah.
I snack way too much. Are you a snacker?
I am a snacker here, but every time I travel, I eat like 2 meals a day and I'm set. But in the US, I'm like, no, I need at least six snacks a day.
It's too tough. There's too much. There's too much good. I'm telling you, it's like a capitalistic, like powerhouse. Like
Yeah.
somehow like you're in the car and then somehow you end up at Whole Foods and you leave with like $100 bill and you end up having dinner. You have dinner ready at home and you end up having dinner at I don't know like one of those. I mean, they make it so easy, you know.
It is very easy. And also with the whole car thing, there's drive-throughs like everywhere. Everything has a drive-through.
Mm.
It's insane.
Yeah.
So you
So
mentioned
true.
YouTube. Kind of gonna switch here a little bit. What is your game plan with
Mm.
YouTube? You kind of mentioned, I think, vlogging, and season 2, I think, of your podcast is coming up.
Yeah.
Tell me.
Yeah, I love that you did your research. You're definitely motivating me for when I start doing more. I should do more. The thing is, I've not done with getting a guest on. Many of the guests I've got on my podcast are people who are not on X. So I will start. I'm maybe you're the reason that I might start doing these online podcasts, Brynn. Well, we'll see if I start. But yeah. So season 2 of the podcast will be. I think I don't know what I think the idea I want to do right now is either that. So either starting with creators online a little bit to connect with more because I've met so many great people as I'm sure as I know you have, incredible people that I would love to like so many great conversations that I have with them like this on like we'd be having you and I, and it's not recorded and I'm like what a shame like I could should like this guy just told me incredible things that I think could have helped so many even just one person to hear it
Right.
and I feel so I think that's one thing I want to do. I just love the idea of doing it in person and I think I will start doing a hybrid for that. So I think season 2 will firstly be with my girlfriend. Like I think she has incredible things to share and she's really big into a bunch of cool stuff that I want her to share and showcase her. I've tried to get her to post more and be more active on TikTok and more on Instagram. Like I want her to create more stuff. So I think this is one way of incentivizing her is maybe showing her maybe how or putting it like indirectly. So I think that will be like a short season 2 for the time that I'm here. We might film like 3 to 4 episodes and it'll be a short season 2. And then maybe I'll do a season 3 where I officially do this hybrid method of being incredible people like you and having them on the pod and then also doing a hybrid version of whenever I have someone who in my life I find really interesting as a story to share, I'll put them on in real life. And I think that will be one part of it. And then the other part of it will be vlogging, which I've really been loving. I have my second vlog coming out. I'm definitely going to, because it's too much content otherwise, and I only have certain bandwidth for some, I'm aiming to do 2 vlogs a month. So right now I'm releasing my second one on Friday and that one's going to be cool. Then I should do another one of here in the US and so on and so forth, just to show a little bit more of me for my brand, you know?
Yeah, definitely. So you say your brand. What are you looking? Do you plan on always doing one-on-one coaching, or are you just building simply like a personal brand?
I'd say yes to answer your question. So yes to that I'm building a personal brand, and I think the whole point of how you want to build a authority and how if you want to make it a personal brand, it's not just. I think this is one of the many misconceptions, and please tell me if you disagree. But I think a lot of people think it's only about writing, and
Right.
I think like the whole point of it is you have to also show that you have a life outside of X. Like you have to show that, especially also if I'm talking about the social world a lot and charisma, confidence, and whatnot. Like I would need to show people more of me and more of my ability to interact in the social world. So that was part of the reason of why I wanted to do vlogs in the first place, just because I wanted to show people more of me beyond just writing. And I think to beyond the one-on-one coaching, I would love to have one day a community or a cohort where we do it like one to many instead of just one-on-one. I really love that idea of doing that. What about you? What do you think? Are you planning on going that route of coaching or doing one-on-one if you're not already?
Yeah, no, it's kind of everything's all up in the air. But I really love. First, I just want to finish off on that thought. Like, I really love the idea of building your personal brand. I think video is the best way to nurture your audience, and that's kind of the idea of this podcast. Is yeah, like I write newsletters, I do all of that stuff. But who am I without a voice, a face, a video, and someone else talking to me? You know. And so that's kind of the whole funnel. And I really love the idea of vlogging. And it even like, I was listening to your podcast in the car and I was like, oh, like I'm going to Mexico next week. I should totally make a vlog on that. I think that'd be so much fun. And so I might.
Are you? I'm going to Mexico as well.
Really? When?
Next week.
Where to?
we're going to like I don't even know this little like this little I don't even I need to ask her. It's like this very secluded place that she wanted. Not secluded, and then like it's like incredible. It's like secluded where like it's like
Hmm.
I don't know. We're landing. I don't know where are you going?
I'm going to
I don't
Cancun.
remember. Okay, yeah, we're not. We're going to I think somewhere next to Puerto Vallarta.
Yeah, we
Do you
were
know
there last
the
year. It's gorgeous. Yeah.
but we were supposed to go north, and then they
Okay.
kind of had like there was like a sewage issue. It was like this little bay area. I say secluded because it's not Puerto Vallarta, which is a touristy place. So
Right.
we're going somewhere further. We were supposed to go there, and there was like the old sewage system issue, and everybody was leaving sick. So we had to quickly
Oh no.
like change the plan. So now we're
Yeah.
going south
Okay.
somewhere, but
Yeah,
nowhere.
we stayed.
But
Last year we stayed like 30 minutes. It was like a really big wedding resort. It was for a wedding, and it was the wedding
mhm.
location was beautiful, but the
What's
40.
it called? Do you know like the place you were at?
Oh my goodness, no. I would have to look.
Okay, okay, no,
It
you'll tell me
was
later.
so awesome though, and it was like this cute little hotel inside of like there was like two cliffs on the side, and the beach was like pretty private, and so it was just like so cool. And I love the mountains in Puerto Vallarta. It is so pretty there,
Mm.
and the marina. I know you'll be out of town, but like the marina, even though it is touristy, it's so much fun. The nightlife there is
I think
amazing.
we'll do it.
Yeah.
We're landing there, so I think our plan is to spend that first day there, and then we're taking like the water taxi to go, I think, to this
Oh,
like
that's
little bay.
awesome.
That's it'll be cute. It'll just be cute. But you're going by yourself with some friends next week, or
No, so I
where?
get to see my mom. Again,
I love that.
I don't remember the last time I saw her. My mom's flying me, my partner, and my little sister out, and we're all gonna go to Cancun and hang out.
Aw,
Yeah, so it's kind of something we've done like since last year, since the wedding, and so it's a lot more fun than going up to North Dakota in the middle of nowhere to see my family. We get to go to Mexico and have some drinks and hang out, and
I
yeah,
love that. That's so cool that we're both gonna be in Mexico at the same time.
yeah.
How
That's
long are you going for?
I think we're going for a whole week, so 7 days, like a full Tuesday to Tuesday. Best way to do it.
I think I think it's time to start vlogging, Bryn. I think it's time.
You think it's time? What equipment do you
I
use?
think
Do you
so.
just use like your phone? Do you have a
Just my
camera?
phone. Just my phone.
Okay.
Just my phone. Like, I mean, you'll see if you watch my vlog, like, it's not like anything of super high quality or crazy. But honestly, right now, I one don't want to invest in it as much. Like, I
Mhm.
think my main focus is X and growing there. And I think like we both agree is that you said it very well. Of video, like, if you want to become an authority in the space, I do truly believe that you need to know how to articulate your ideas beyond writing. That means on
100%.
audio and video format. And you're already killing it on the audio, and so it could be cool, I think, to complement it with. And again, I think there's no rule to it. Like, it's super cool. Like, the vlogs could be 1 minute, and they could be like just like a quick time lapse of your whole week, or it could be something 10 minute long, 15. At the end of the day, like, it's like I think my mom would ask me, she's like, who's gonna watch? Like, she's I care because I'm your mom and I want to watch what you're doing, but why would anybody else care? And I think I said this. I think it's part of the personal brand. It's like people want to. If already people are already reading your tweets,
Mhm.
you know that phenomenon in psychology that says once people spend 7 hours with you, they're kind of like locked in, and now they just want to keep knowing more and more and more. And this applies to people who will buy from you and just friends and networking. Okay, so if you're reading now my tweets, you've like probably now, if in the next maybe let's say we give it in the next month, by now we both would have read each other's tweets for like on a read time that accumulates over 7 hours.
Mhm.
Meaning now I'm invested enough in you that every time you appear on my timeline, I will want to read and see more of it. So now couple that with podcasts and videos, I'm even more invested to read more and more. So I just think it's that principle of more eyeballs, sorry, more output and doing more things, just more eyeballs we're gonna get on our stuff, right?
Yeah, right. It's the mere exposure effect. The more someone sees you, the more they're intrigued and want to follow it. And I had this.
There you go.
I haven't really talked about it. I wrote it down in my journal the other day. And I have this really cool idea where I want to do this vlog of like the week and then post it to YouTube as just like a vlog. But then I really want to do like a solo episode voiceover on Spotify as like a Spotify exclusive of like a solo
Ooh.
episode of like what I found in my like writing during that week and like things like that. And I just think that would be so. I haven't seen it, and I think it'd be a lot of fun. And so it's something that I'm kind of toying with right now. So if you see that in 2 weeks, go check that out. Let me know what you think about it.
Please do send it over to me. I would absolutely love to see. I think that's a cool. So you would be voiceovering your experience on writing beyond your desk, what you've been doing so far.
Yeah, yeah. Because I plan on
Cool.
taking a clean journal with and doing, of course, doing my writing and everything in the morning. The gym there is outdoor, which I'm so excited for. It's like an outdoor bungalow gym, and I'm like, yes. So that'll be part of the vlog,
It's
and then
perfect for the vlog. Yeah.
perfect for the vlog. And it's got like all of. I was even telling my partner, I was like, it's got the necessities. It doesn't have the fancy equipment. It's like a barbell, some free weights, and then like a cable machine. I'm like, perfect.
You were talking about synchronicities before, Brynn, and I'm just gonna give you another one now. Not only do we both going to Mexico, but this morning, so for context, before coming here, my girlfriend was being proactive, and she was like, "I know you're coming here for a month, and I know you like going to the gym every day, so I'm gonna get you membership here." I was like, wait, I was like, wait, Hannah, I know Vegas is super warm. I would love to work out outside. you think we can find one of those, like, I don't need much. I said, all I need is, like you said, some kind of park
Hmm.
that, and I wasn't thinking of like those parks that have the necessities and that have the barbell and whatever. I was just thinking of those parks that have like, somehow have like those ramps where you can just like, like maybe it's like the children parks that have the,
The
I don't know
monkey
what you call
bars,
them, but
pull-up
they have
bars.
the,
Yeah.
yeah, you hit it, yeah, the monkey bars, and somewhere where like elevated surface where I could do maybe push-ups and just do outdoor workouts because I want to test myself to see can I maintain my muscle or even grow more muscle with that, and a kettlebell. She has a kettlebell here, and
Hmm.
she does Pilates. So it's like joining her with Pilates every day, kettlebell outdoors, and those pull-ups, all types of calisthenics. That
Right.
was my. She said, okay, we'll look into it. She says right now I can't think of any parks, but she also said I don't really haven't seen any, so we'll see. This morning or 2 days ago, we find a little neighborhood. It's like a gated community, but without a gate. So it's kind of like a public neighborhood, right outside ours, like a 5 minute drive. And we get there, and you'll never believe it. They had that park exactly what I described, but in much higher. Like they had actual, like you were saying, it was an actual circuit made for outdoor
Yeah.
working out, exactly like what you're talking about in Mexico. And so I vlogged it this morning of my experience. I think I will release a 30-day. Well, it'll be a vlog that we condense in like 5 to 7 minutes, but it'll be like I'm gonna work out here for 30 days. How does it compare to 30 days in the gym?
Yeah.
And that will kind of be my experience. I loved it. You're gonna love it.
Yeah. That'll be so cool. You'll have to message me and let me know how that goes as you're doing it, because that's really
Yeah,
cool. I've never
it's
worked out
crazy.
outside. I'm so excited to do it though.
That's what kind of workouts do you do, Brynn?
I currently do just like the bro split, push pull legs. Working on more calisthenics. I can't really do body weight yet. I've lost a lot of weight, but I still have more to lose, and so it's we're building, but we're getting there, and so it's been a lot of fun. I've been working out
Cool.
for like 2-ish years now, and so yeah.
Oh, wow, so cool. And you like doing it outdoors, huh?
Oh, I love it. I've taken on running this year. Was like my New Year resolution, which I don't like New Year's resolutions, but I was like, I'm gonna run a 5K. So I ran a 5K this
Wow.
last weekend, and I was like, okay, that was so much fun. Like the social aspect of it, there was almost 8,000 people there just running alone. It was crazy. It was so much fun, and I got to hang out with kind of a mentor of mine, and so I was like, okay, we'll run more. I love running outside. I hate treadmills, and so it's really nice to take on to that.
It's funny. I mentioned that today. I was like, because in that same park where outdoors where I work out,
Mhm.
it's huge, and there's like a whole track you can actually walk and run. So I told her that we need to start running as well outdoors. So I love that. I agree with you. The treadmill can be so, especially when the weather is so nice outside. And if we
Right.
spend, I'm sure as you, we spend a lot of our days on the computer, working on here, right on the brand. So we're just working online and sitting at that desk. And I think it's good to be able to get out a little bit, right?
Right, 100%. And I mean, a little bit of sun never hurt anybody. I think it's incorporating the sun into my everyday has definitely like saved a lot of my mental health and things like that. And so I think it's something
What
everyone should do.
what's your average day like, Brynn? I'm sure your listeners would love to know. Share with us really quickly. How do you wake up, if you don't mind sharing, of course.
Oh man, like my day to day, I so wish I could.
An average day.
Yeah, I so wish I could wake up with the sun. I'm working on it. But currently, due to my day job, I have to wake up at around 3:30 in the morning, so I don't get to see sun for about 5-6 hours. Usually I'm off of work by then, so I get to go out and about. But yeah, so I go out, and then after that, I will go to another cafe and I'll sit and write for about 2-3 hours. And in between my writing sessions, I'll go for about a 30-minute walk outside, and then I go to the gym for about 45 minutes to an hour, and then I come home and I meditate or I sit outside with the dogs and just kind of hang out, and then I do more writing. So that's
I love that.
yeah.
Three things. One, that would be an incredible um, vlog. I would personally would love to see that. Like, I'd love to see more creators doing vlogs of like their day to day, because it's cool to see like you could, for example, in that vlog just specifically showed me that, like, I don't know, a lot of people don't like working in the afternoon, and I know that you have to because of your
Right.
circumstance, and like that's cool that you could. I don't know, a lot of people could benefit from that. So I definitely, if you're looking for more vlog ideas, a day in the life of Brynn could be a great one. And seeing wake up and show you that yes, it is possible to build your brand and still have a day job that starts at 3 a.m. and like it's super inspiring. So, second question is, if you don't mind sharing, what is the day job that makes you wake
Yeah.
up at 3 a.m.?
Yeah, so my day job is I'm a barista at Starbucks. It's nothing fancy. It's super easy.
Wow.
I kind of did it in a moment of desperation when I was in Houston. I was working 2 full-time jobs when I was in Houston. Bills were tight. I was renting a studio for almost 1,200 a month, and it was 1,200 USD a month, which is insane
Uh-huh.
in downtown Houston. And I was waitressing at night plus doing barista in the morning. So it was an interesting time to say the least. But I love Starbucks just because it's super simple, and I will admit the pay is competitive because I play with lattes all day. And so I had this argument at work. They were like, no, we don't get paid enough. I'm like, we get paid almost $17 to play with milk. I I mean, like, I don't know what the problem is here. We get to talk to people. I mean, yeah, some people are rude, but life is life, and maybe they're having a hard day. I come into work sometimes and I'm rude. everyone has their days, you know? And so it's things like that. But so yeah, I work at Starbucks. I tried doing
So cool.
school, like college through Starbucks, but I'm like super against modern education, especially in the US, just because I think it's been so like propagandized and like it's just not my forte. But so now I'm pursuing this, and I started this in October. I found Danco. December I started writing like here and there, and then January I was like, no, we're gonna make this work. So that's where I am now.
That is such a cool story, Brynn. That is so beautiful. You gave me goosebumps a little bit listening to the way two of the things that you said really stood out to me, and one of them was thing about how I like a lot of your perspective on, yeah, we're making, what a positive way is what I'm trying to say, of the way you looked at it is your colleagues are complaining about it, and instead of probably not doing, I don't know, I don't want to shit on them because I don't know them, but I don't know if they're doing much about the complaining, and
No.
you, not only are you doing something about it by starting this brand, but two, you're also positive and like, man, I'm just like, you're making the situation much better than what actually is. Like nobody is actually happy for playing around with milk, and the fact that you see it in that way of, we're playing around with milk, guys, and you're getting paid for this, like you should be happy you're being people, you mean great people. Yes, they're rude, but what, like, that was a beautiful perspective. Like I think more people should see it that way. And I think that's another issue that one of the many issues that we have in the social world as well, and just in life, because the social world is just life, right? In life is that specific aspect of you complain so much, you don't do anything about it. But two, usually you, when you complain, you also don't see it in the positive light that it could be. And you could make, like, you have the choice to choose how you want to react to things and how you want to see them and construe them. Like you would have that choice. And the fact that you're seeing it that way is that prime example. And I love that you saw it that way. And that's crazy. So your shifts are what, from 4 a.m. to like 8 a.m., 9 a.m.?
Yeah, they really vary all over the place. Like this morning I worked 4:30 a.m. until 10:15 a.m.
Wow.
And so, I mean, sometimes I work like 5:30 to like 11:30, which is a cool shift. But yeah, it's interesting. It's definitely, I remember agreeing to the job. She was like, yeah, you have to be here by 4. And I was like, what? I have never gotten up that early a day in my life other than for a flight. Yeah. But like, yeah, so I for a long time there, I actually went to the gym before work too. So I would get up at like 2:30 in the morning to go to the gym.
What time are you going to bed?
Oh, during that time, like 7 p.m., 8. Now? Oh man, my sleep schedule is terrible. Like last night, I didn't go to bed fully until about 10:30, and I woke up at 3:30 this morning. So.
Do you take midday naps or stuff like that?
I'd meditate, and you know what yoga nidra is?
Uh-huh.
Yeah, I do that if I'm like super tired. If I wake up and I'm just drained, I do that for about 5-10 minutes. But I'm meditating right now, like an average of 30 minutes to 60 minutes every day if I can make the time to do it. And that's kind of like a good reset for me, especially with all of like the creative work and the reading that I do. It helps me synthesize a lot of the information that I consume. So
Yeah, fair.
Yeah.
It's great. I admire you so much for doing that. Thank you for sharing that.
Yeah, absolutely. It's interesting to say the least. I wouldn't recommend it for a lot, but if you have something that you're shooting for, you just got to go for it. And I think it comes in terms of like life is in seasons. And so I'm sacrificing all of my sleep and some of my mental health to make this thing work now so that I can quit my day job and wake up when I want to wake up and pursue things that really make me happy. And so I'm like, this Q2, I do quarterly planning plus weekly plus monthly planning. And so like my quarter 2 is like, this is a season of get the shit done so that you can enjoy everything after that. And so that's where I'm at right now.
That is so cool. I should do that. I do the monthly planning. I should maybe do the quarterly as well, because I do love the idea of seeing it in seasons. I agree with you. There's some seasons of building, some seasons of, resting more, right. Seasons of fully working. And I really like that idea. And I think it's similar where like, kind of felt similar for me where I was like, I know what's waiting for me at the other side if I don't do it. And if I don't like push through with this, and if I don't make this work, like when I started this myself, similar to you, as I started, I think it was like November when I think it was November when I found out about it, and I decided, I think it was like, I started tweeting for a couple of days, and kind of like you, I stopped for a week. But for me, it was happy that it was only a week. And then I actually, funnily enough, I had gone to do a modeling shoot. And then after that, I was like, is this really well? Because I was getting paid for the modeling stuff and doing, but it was not enough. And I was like working at this other, like cool, really cool job, but the pay was very like sporadic. And sometimes I get paid enough for that month, but then the next month I might not get paid at all. So it was very like never knowing. And it was just like really, really sporadic from that. And I just wasn't happy with that. And I said, kind of like, okay, I need to, kind of like you're saying, kind of like need to lock in and actually make it work. Mm-hmm. And if we don't stop, it is impossible for you to lose. Like if you don't stop and you think in 5, 10, even in 2 next year at this time, Brynn, next April, how much would you have grown?
Right.
How much would you have changed?
100%. And I think one of the biggest catalysts I've had is like recently working with my mentor that I have. He was like, look at how far you've come. I was like, what do you mean? Like, I'm not where I want to be. And it was super cool because in January I was like, there is no way I can make this work in a year. 4 months in, I've had 2 free clients. I'm finally getting my first paid client. I'm like, holy crap, I'm 6 months ahead of where I wanted to be at. Just by doing little simple tasks every single day, trying new things, failing a shit ton. And I'm like, it is possible. And I was watching, I don't know if you're a fan of Ayman Ghatzi. I love Ayman Ghatzi. I think
That's so funny.
He's controversial, yes, but I think some of the things he has to say is like, it is valuable. It's kind of like Andrew Tate. He does say some things, but he also has some really good points. And so I was like watching this video today, and he was like, the only person you can blame is yourself, and it comes down to a skill issue. It's not the business model, it's not the people, it's not your clients, it's the fact that you don't have whatever you need to tie it together. And so I was like, oh yeah, that's what I've been doing, is just building those skills. And that's, if you just focus on building your skills and sharing it, you're good. You will make it if you continue doing it.
So true. It's so true. It's exactly that. If every day you just are, especially with your mentality as well, every day I'm here to wake up and know why. I think it's like what you were saying before, like knowing the reason of why, and perhaps even deeper, like knowing the why for this season and what is expected of me this season, then that's enough to get you out of bed, even at unreasonable times, and get you to actually pursue what you want to pursue. And yeah, like look at you. Your comes it's been what you said. It's been 4 months, and you're here doing, I don't know how many podcasts you've done now. How many has it been?
I'm so terrible. I'm the most unorganized person. Like people seem to be like, oh, you're so organized. No, I'm not. You will be the 8th, and then I have 4 more that I'm recording this week, hopefully. If they show up.
That is, unless they do like that guy who just decided to, in the pre-5 minutes, was out. But that's pretty cool. I heard this stat somewhere. I think maybe it was Alex Hormozy who said it. You mentioned you're a big fan of. I'm a big fan of. Many people are of Hormozy, but he's one of the main ones. Even over Dan Co. He's the one I've watched the most stuff out of. And he would say, I don't know which one now, but he said something about your podcast. So this applies to you and me, where I think he said that only 1% of podcasters have gone over at least 20 episodes.
Yeah.
Like meaning that everybody else doesn't reach that 20th mark.
Yep.
You're like halfway there. How cool is that?
It's crazy to think about. So one of my favorite podcasters, or influencers, I guess you'd say, you might not know him. His name is Leo Skepi. And I remember when he was first starting his podcast, he's big on TikTok and things like that. And it was super cool because I remember his 20th episode. He's like, I did it. Like, I did 20. And I'm like, that's so cool. I want to do that. And so, yeah, we're hammering them out. It's definitely interesting. And I can't wait to see you get there too, because I love your podcast. And I think like in-person podcasts are not very, like, they're common, but they're not put together very well. And I think you do a very good job of like putting them together, making them work, making them comfortable. I love the like unseriousness in it, like the closing the window in the middle of recording, or like the doorbell going off. I'm like, yeah, that's life is life. And I mean, we're all human. Things happen. People interrupt.
But it's funny because that one, the one in the window, I was supposed to edit that out, and on YouTube, if you check the YouTube, like, it's funny, you're one of the only ones who's watched that on Spotify. I forgot that I couldn't. I realized it on YouTube before uploading it that I could trim on YouTube, so I trimmed that part out. And then on Spotify, my brother told me saying things like, "Dude, you didn't, like, we can see the window, but it's not a big deal. It's fine." I was like, "Damn, whatever."
No, I love it.
You watched it. I'm so glad. Well, thank you. That makes me feel better. Thank you.
It made me giggle on my commute home. I was like, that is so perfect. It's comforting. So it's like, they're just here to chat. It's just 2 bros sitting on couches with a dog, hanging out, That's all, and that's what I wanted, because again, people like somebody. Again, I told you 2 things that are big for me. 2 big mottos for me. Or the main motto for me is and this is what my girlfriend will. If there's one thing she'll praise me on, is I really don't think I've really learned to not. I really say this in the most humble way possible, so I hope it comes across that way. And I really think I just don't care much about. Not to say I don't care about other people's opinions, but I think I've kind of got to the point where you get so many opinions of so many people left and right, beyond your family mainly, but beyond your family, to the point where, like, now I've gotten to the point where I will listen, I will take it in, but respectfully, I will do whatever I want with it. And most of the time, I will, just listen to it and kind of like continue what I'm doing. But because, especially now, and after please tell me if this happens to you, but because I think becoming a content creator, you have so much stuff and material for people to comment, judge, and give an opinion on. Mm-hmm. You can't handle that much opinion. You can't handle that much in it. So I think it's kind of like that. Somebody was asking me again. What was my family? I don't remember. Somebody said, like, "Why? Like, you're doing a podcast? Like, what's the point of it? Like, what's the purpose? Like, what are you talking about?" I said, "Just having a conversation, and I'm trying to get people that I want to learn from. Like, I'm doing it for me. Like, if one other person out there likes it, then wait, I would love that. I'm really happy if it does that. But same with the newsletters. Like, I'm writing them for me." Mm-hmm. 100%.
That's it.
That was actually what happened to me with my last episode. My last episode was with Ben Chan. I'm not sure.
I saw that one.
I had so much fun, but I honestly, that's like that one has been the harshest feedback I've gotten, was like, oh, you need to add retention loops in the beginning of your podcast. You need to add this, you need to do that, like, this, that, the other thing. And I'm like, but I like it. Like, I like it the way it is. And it's not, I don't want retention loops. If you're going to watch, you're going to watch. And if you're not, I don't care. That sounds so mean, but I don't care. If you're not going to watch, it doesn't affect me. I'm here sitting down with a really dope person, getting to talk to them for an hour, sometimes two. Like Camila, I don't know if you know who Camila is on the Space of X either, but like we recorded the podcast for an hour and sat and chatted for almost 3 hours after recording and just talked. And I was like, it's not about the fucking retention loops. Like, yes, we're in the attention business, but just sit down and chat, hang out with me while I chat. Like, that's all it is.
I love it. I love it. I love that. I don't even know but I can guess. I didn't even know about the retention loops on the podcast.
What it is like, they like, you take like an interesting snippet from like the middle or the end and you throw it in the beginning and then throw it into the podcast. And I'm like, yeah, but I don't edit these. I kind of just, unless like someone doesn't want a name in here, then I'll bleep it out. But I haven't had that issue yet. But it's like, I don't edit them. I just throw them up.
Yeah. Honestly, it's that, like, maybe besides, I have to do it because I do it in person. I have to edit like my voice matching the I guess the audio recording. That's it, and then adding some music because I love to ask my guests about their music and stuff. Otherwise, and maybe sometimes I have to close a window or the doorbell rings and I have to change that. But otherwise, I agree with you. I fully agree with you, Brynn. I think that's a good perspective to have. And like I said, if people are giving you their opinion, it's like, again, they don't have context on it like you do. They don't have the same material like you do. So they're talking without knowing.
Yeah, no, totally. And you say you like to ask your guests about music. I don't know if I've heard that a whole lot, but what music do you enjoy listening to?
Thank you for
why?
Asking. I would say, why do I listen to that music, or why do I ask my guest about it?
Both. Let's go for it.
Well, firstly for my guest, it was funny because, again, like I told you before, I didn't really like you a little bit. I didn't use. I mean, I know that you clearly do your research on your guest, but because mine, I usually know them from my life. I know I already have research on them, so I know what to ask them. And two, I do it very informal, very conversational, and less of an interview question and more of a conversation. At least that's what I try for it to be. And with many of them, I noticed with the first one, which was my brother, we did that first episode, and it was just to kind of test it out. It was kind of like, let's see how this goes, and it was cool, and I enjoyed it. And I wanted to make it like music was the first part of taking my brand, like before my brand became about social skills and just charisma, relationships, whatever, communication. Before it was truly, I wanted to make it about music. Why? Because I was working in the company I was working on was a music consulting agency company, and it was really cool. And I thought maybe I could bring it from the real life or outside world into the online world. But it ended up slowly, like I'm sure it's happened to you too. You start with something and then it slowly evolves and transitions, and that's what it's so beautiful. You know, it evolves as we evolve in this landscape of life, and I love that. But I still wanted to make music a big integral part of me because it's honestly, music has been a big part of my life since I can remember. I've always played something. Like it was the drums, and then with the piano. Then I started DJing as well. You mentioned DJing at the beginning, and I realized I didn't answer your question, but that started also as a way to make some money back in Canada. You know, as I don't know how cold it gets in North Dakota where you're from, but in Montreal, yeah, like I thought it got cold. In Montreal, it also gets to like, I don't know in Fahrenheit, but negative 30 Celsius, and that is freezing. It's so cold. And not to mention the sun goes down at 3 or 4 p.m. for like 6 or 7 months out of the year.
If you're lucky to see it though, because usually it's cloud cover all day too, so you don't get the sun.
You hit the nail on that.
Yeah.
So one of the activities that I had learned during my, I guess, winter isolation during my 4 years in Canada was DJing. You know, my roommate had this DJ deck he didn't use. He let me use it and kind of taught myself online. You know, as you said, you're not a big fan of modern education, which I would fully agree with you. And I think clearly this goes hand in hand with like we can learn anything we want online. And look at me, I truly learn. Again, DJing is one skill, but you can learn anything. Like look at us, we're learning how to build a personal brand, how to write, how to sell, how to market, how to do all the video edit, podcast, everything online without going to school for it. And kind of did that with DJing and just my love for music is I think so. The really big point of what I'm trying to make here is that I think music connects people in a way that sometimes conversations can't. Or like there's like two things, like you can go dance anywhere and you can I've connected with people that I'm not even shared a word with just through dance. I got a music festival or at a club, at a concert, and that was like it's incredible. It's a true energy transmission, like truly.
Yeah.
And then the second point is like, if you think about it, it's like you're playing music in your room, you're voluntarily and willingly letting that sound and those lyrics and that voice in your space. Like you're willingly allowing it there. And if I'm doing it the same with the same artist and the same song, think about the connection you and I are forming here without even knowing about it yet. So like I'd love for you to I'll tell you about my artist too. I'd love for you, like what for me it's in seasons. So there's like different seasons of music and what I listen to. I'm sure for you, but I'd love for you to go first.
For me to go first, there's a whole lot. I listen to a lot of everything. So I come from a band background. I played trumpet in band,
Wow.
and so like I love jazz, I love classical music and things like that. Just because you can feel the emotion through the composer's eyes, and it's just really cool. I was that kid who went to band camp, I will fully admit. So jazz is like one of my favorite like works. Like if I'm sitting down in a cafe, jazz is on 110%. Or like I don't know if you've ever watched Shogun. It's like a new show out on Hulu. The soundtrack is gas. It is so good. So I listen to really weird things. I oddly enough really enjoy. It's very different classical when I'm working out. I don't know. And then if I'm in like a really angry mood, it's like some hard EDM. And then I'm going to an NF concert in June, so that'll be fun. I love NF. And then modern like rock and old rock. I love classic rock too. Modern rock, I have an awesome artist, Silver Warehouse. They're a really small band. I have like a small band fetish. I love small artists because I think there's more emotion in what they write and what they say because it's coming from real life experiences versus like what a producer wants them to sing. And so Silver Warehouse is one of my favorite. And they're also from Minnesota, so that's got to keep it in the Midwest. But
I love that.
got a whole array of things that I really enjoy. So
Wow. It's cool. I agree with you about the small bands. It's kind of like this, like we want to gatekeep them, so they can become big.
Oh,
And then
totally.
when they become big. And like for us, it was like I remember when we like there's a like the band and like so the band three I love also I love these kind of small bands and now I've seen so many that we used to love 4 years ago, 3 years ago, whatever it was, like they were so small, like to the point where like nobody knew them. We were maybe like we go to festivals to see them, and there was like maybe a couple thousand people at a festival, which is nothing when you compare it to like. And now that same band is at Coachella, for example, in front of millions. Like you know the difference, and
it's so cool.
My roommate who we went to like that bands, and they were like, the band, for example, was familiar with Jungle now. Back on 74, that song that's really famous, or maybe not. Maybe not.
Yep.
I don't know if you know it. Yeah, I'll send it to you later. But when we discovered Jungle, I want to say I think my roommate discovered him. I discovered them like I think like 5 or 6 years ago when they had the first album out, and it was like nobody knew it, nobody at all. Like I remember playing it out loud, and playing it. He was playing it, and nobody knew it. And then we went to the festival, which is also where I met my girlfriend. So just to show why music is such a big impact in my life, is also I met my current girlfriend now that I've been with for so long is at a music festival. So everything in my life that's really been around music. And we went to see we went all the way to Arizona from Montreal to Phoenix, Arizona. So it was a long 6-hour trip to go across the continent just to see like 3 of our favorite bands. It was like Jungle, which was like 3 years ago. So it was when they were still not that big. And just to show you the difference, they're playing this weekend at Coachella, but 3 years ago they were playing, and they're like one of the highest names on the banner. Now back then, they were like not even the highest name on this tiny, like I said, I think 1,000 people festival in Phoenix, Arizona, like super small. And there was another group. Are you familiar with Parcels?
I'm not familiar.
Maybe not. I'll send you those. I think you like Parcels. It's
Definitely
cool.
send them.
They describe themselves. This is them. They describe themselves as a mix between Daft Punk and the Beatles.
Oh, interesting. Yeah.
You'll see it when you see them. Like they look like the Beatles. And then when they sound, they have a couple more electronic and funky songs that are more like the Daft Punk kind of vibe. So they were also cool. They're not as big as Jungle, but they're not that big. But they're also like a small band. And if they were a small band, I think you would like them. But again, these were two groups that I loved like 3 years ago. So now the season that I'm currently in is a little bit. You were mentioning rock, a little bit of soft. I'm a lot into the soft rock these days. I don't even know if you consider I'm very much into the Beach Boys. I still am. I mentioned this in so many of my podcasts, but
they're so good.
Isn't it? What's your any song that you could share with us that you like? Any specific song that comes to mind?
With the Beach Boys or like just in general?
Yeah, with the Beach Boys. If any comes to mind. If not, then we'll leave it at the Beach Boys.
Making me think. Surfing USA is a classic.
Of course.
I don't know. There's just something about like the comfort in it. I don't know.
Yeah, fair. It's a good answer.
What's your favorite?
Currently, there's one called I forgot what it's called. I just wanna something. I forgot. I just wanna. I forgot. I just wanna something. Like it's very easy to. It's from the album called Pet Sounds. It's a great group. And I think that. Yeah. So it's from that album. I just wanna something. And I think that's to answer your question. I think that's the artist I'm listening to a lot these days. It changes a lot, like you said, and I also because I love DJing. The music that I DJ is very house, Afro house, underground, like Chicago house. Yeah. It's very much that kind of house, and I really love that as well. That was great for writing, by the way, for my writing at least. I really get in the groove with that kind of music.
Yeah, I have it's called the airport, like my airport playlist, and it's like really comforting, like DJ remixes and things like that, and it's just so cool to walk through the airport and feel like a main character as you're walking through. But so you like music. When I think of music, I think of Rick Rubin. Do you know anything about Rick Rubin? Do you like Rick Rubin? I love Rick Rubin.
I love Rick as well. I love Rick Rubin. He was the first person who I would say the first creative who inspired me on X or on he's not on X, but he is, but like he's not the creator on X, but he inspired me for me to be on X, if that makes sense. Like a lot of the stuff I was sharing at the beginning, I told you a lot of it was music, right?
Hmm.
So a lot of the music stuff came from him. Like I checked out all. I think I've heard all his podcasts at this point, all of them.
That's awesome.
I read his book, listened to his book. I've seen him, but like he has a TV show on like his studio sessions and stuff, and I really love his. I'm a big fan of Rick Rubin, and I don't know if musically I haven't heard much of what he's done musically to be completely honest, but and maybe I haven't. I wouldn't even know.
You
but
have like it's insane. His portfolio. He was with Joe Rogan. I think his episode with Joe Rogan, and he did Walk This Way mixed with Run DMC. And
yeah, I saw that.
I'm like, that's just so. I would have never thought that was Rick Rubin ever.
Yeah, both of those.
Yeah, so it's really cool to think about that.
He's so cool.
He is.
He's so cool.
I love that because his book, he narrates it obviously if you've listened to it, which 10 out of 10. I love, like, he's, in my opinion, one of the best thinkers. Even though he's in music, like, I think his mindset and his philosophy on life is just what everyone should have. Like, everyone is a creator. I mean, we come from creation, so there's no way we're not creators. And so I'm so happy we got to touch on that. We'll have to talk about that more on the next one. It's already been over an hour.
I love it. Isn't it amazing that you can just talk and have a conversation with someone and you can, and it's recorded and then you can put it out there and maybe, like you said, maybe somebody else will, I'm sure if one other person likes it and listens to it and that's worth it, right?
Yeah, and that's helped me on X a lot too. There's a lot of like imposter syndrome between like, oh, I need to have thousands of people reading this, and it's like, no, I have like a few people that will DM me and be like, I love this. I'm like, that's all I need. I need one person to just enjoy it, and usually that person is me, which kind of sounds selfish, but at the end of the day, like, you're writing from who you are so that other people can relate. And so I think that's my number one tip. I'm giving a tip on my own podcast for like anyone writing is just, you're writing for one person, and that's all that matters. Don't worry about Nicholas Cole, who has over 300 million lifetime views. Like, don't worry about that. They'll come.
And at the end, it's like at the end, we're all doing this to live off it. And if living off it means making money at the end, again, if 10 people are the one giving you that money to live, I say giving for lack of a better word, but working with you for that, then technically it doesn't really matter if there's like 1,000 or not. Like, you only need those 10 people at that point.
Right.
And then so on and so forth. So I do agree with you fully. And I think you've even given me now, like, a lot of people say, I don't know who my one reader is or who's my target or my ideal customer profile. It's like an old version of Brynn.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and it took me a long time to learn that. And I think writing helps with that a lot too. Is like, you get to learn about who you were a month ago. Because when you first start, I came from a place where I didn't write. I had no clarity. I had no idea who I thought I was or who I was. And so like, sitting down and writing about that, you'll figure it out. And like, I have found how relatable who I was yesterday is to who people are today. And I think that's really cool to be able to just be like, yeah, I did that. Don't do that. Try this instead. And like, for some people, it's really helpful.
I like that. That's a beautiful perspective. I'm gonna keep that one. I like that.
But is there anything else? I know you probably have to get going. It's been ran a little longer. I'm sorry.
It was amazing.
Good.
I love talking to you. You're a great conversationalist. You have great questions. I love that I encourage you to share more about yourself too. I think you have an interesting life and interesting things to say. And I do think not only your viewers, but us as well. I would love to hear so much more about everything. So I do encourage you to keep sharing as well about you. And I know you do already, but even more.
Awesome.
And keep smiling. You always smile so much. I love that you smile. That's such a beautiful thing, Brynn. Keep smiling. It's smiling. My dad always said smiling is free. And we don't do it enough.
No, we don't do it enough. And life is too short to not smile. So keep doing it.
You said it. Well, I really appreciate you having me and talking with me. And am I saying the name right? It's the Two Ravens podcast?
Yeah, the Two Ravens podcast.
I love it. Thank you for having me on the amazing Two Ravens podcast. I've caught some of the episodes before, and I'm excited to catch I'll definitely be catching the 20th one. You know that. And,
for sure.
And I'm just super, super, super grateful to be here. Thank you so much. Honestly, it was such a true pleasure to meet you.
Yeah, it was awesome to meet you. Thank you for giving me your time and coming on and showing me that I can be a conversationalist and not just an interviewer.
Yeah.
Awesome.
It is. It's true. Thanks, Brynn. Much love.
Thank you. Much love.